As an intelligent being, there's no better feeling than love. To be loved, to love others, to be in love, this is one of the most magical feelings anybody could ever experience. But I think to define what love is important. So love is defined as a profound emotional and mental state defined by deep affection, strong attraction, and an active commitment to another's well-being. And now the reason why we get into this topic is because love and happiness oftentimes are synonymous. You know, when people are in love, you're typically happy. You think of happy thoughts. You have somebody who completes you and you complete somebody else. That's a happy thing. But oftentimes, love and happiness can clash, especially when it comes to a long-term relationship. When it comes to being with somebody for years, for decades, till death do us part, love and happiness can oftentimes contradict each other. Not all the time, but sometimes they can. And so for me, this begged a bigger question when it comes to a long-term commitment with somebody. So I went out and I asked a random group of men and women last weekend what they thought about this topic. And so for those of you who are new to the podcast, thank you so much for finding us. And for those of you who have checked in before, you know that we have one of the largest dating podcasts where I go out and I ask random men and women different dating questions and get their opinions on certain topics. And because I had this thought of love and happiness, it begged a bigger question for me. So we went out last weekend and I asked this group of guys here, should you leave love if happiness has left your relationship? So let's go ahead and hear what this group of guys had to say.
Should you leave love if it makes you unhappy?
I think it depends on what stage you are in the relationship. If it's early on and you realize that you're not compatible, then you probably shouldn't continue it. But if it's later on in the relationship, you're always going to encounter, some ruts and stuff like that, right? And then you got to power through it. It's better to stop it early and save yourself a lot of pain rather than continue it and continue like a relationship that's not meant for you. But later on, it's inevitable. Yeah. So you gotta kind of work with each other and power through it.
And so what I asked this guy here is, should you leave love? Should you leave a relationship if that relationship makes you unhappy? And now we went ahead and we defined what love is, right? An active commitment to someone else's well-being, deep affection, strong attraction. But let's go ahead and define happiness. I feel like if we're going to discuss things, we have to define the terms. So happiness is defined as a general state of well-being, joy, and life satisfaction. But I don't think it has to pertain to just life satisfaction. I think satisfaction in general. And so by me asking this guy here, and I personally think he had a great opinion on this topic, but by me asking him, should you leave if the relationship makes you unhappy, we have to dial back. I think his response, especially right here,
I think it depends on what stage you are in the relationship. If it's early on and you realize that you're not compatible, then you probably shouldn't continue it. But if it's later on in the relationship, you're always going to encounter, some ruts and stuff like that, right? And then you got to power through it.
If it's early on and you just met somebody and you're already having an abrasive interaction with them, maybe it's on Tinder or a dating app or somebody you walked up to when you were out at a concert or an event, or maybe somebody you see at the gym all the time and you started talking, whatever the case is, if you feel like that first interaction is abrasive and it's not going to work out, I think that is a pretty good indicator of how the length of the relationship will go. But it's not always the case. So the reason I want to say this is because when you meet somebody, they should feel familiar. And I don't necessarily mean you're going to feel like a best friend, with a stranger you just met, but there's a level of familiarity that comes with two people that often click, even if it's friends. Think about one of your closest friends and how you met. I recently met, a lot of really cool friends, where I live. I live in a high-rise area. It's a community area, etc. But I met a lot of pretty cool people here. A lot of people that I was like, maybe they'll just be in passing friends. But now our friendships have grown, a bit more, and they're actually closer to me. But I met them very spontaneously. I met them at an event through another friend that I didn't even really know either, But something about the interaction felt familiar. Even though we didn't know each other, it's the first time I'd ever seen these people, something felt a little bit familiar. It felt like this is a good conversation. Things are clicking, things click well, there's no abrasion here, and even if there is, so one party knows to give back, one party knows to take a little. Everyone's personalities kind of complement each other. And I feel like when it comes to dating, it's very similar. Even though you don't know the person at the gym, when you start talking, it's love, smiles, whatever. But at the same time, it feels familiar. It feels easier. And typically when things feel hard off the bat, it's a pretty good gut indicator that that thing might not be for you. And now that's not always the case. Sometimes life will throw you hurdles to see if you really want something. But at the same time, if you just met somebody, I think it is a pretty good indicator, right? That something there is not meant for you, which is perfectly fine. And I think if it's at the early stages of a relationship with anybody, then I think that that's a good indicator. But later on, which I like, this is the point he makes here.
It's better to stop it early and save yourself a lot of pain rather than continue it and continue like a relationship that's not meant for you. But later on, it's inevitable. Yeah. So you gotta kind of work with each other and power through it.
When it comes to dating somebody long term, even a friendship, I like to use the word relationships because relationships are very intrapersonal. It's not just you and a girl or you and a guy, if you're a girl listening to this, or even if you're a guy listening to this, I guess. But it's not just that. It's a relationship. It's your relationship with your parents. It's a relationship with your friends. It's a relationship with your coworkers. It's a relationship with the person that you love or are in love with, which are two different things, by the way, but that's for a different episode. But your relationships are very important, right? And anytime you want to foster something long-term and healthy, it's going to have dips, even if the relationship is healthy. Things aren't always great. It's easy to be an easy person to get along with until things get hard. When things get hard, people go into survival mode. When your money gets affected, when your light bill gets affected, when your car gets affected, when your dog is affected, when your laptop's affected, when your clothes is affected, when your food's affected, when all those things get affected, who are you? Who are you at the core? And who are they? Who's the person you're dating at their core? And it's extremely important that you realize this because nobody's ever perfect in survival mode, right? Even your girl or the person you're dating, they're going to act a certain way depending on how they're raised and their upbringing. If they came out with more money and things start to face them, they might be more easygoing. But somebody who's been through trials and tribulations and grew up not having anything, it might be a different story, right? And I say this because long term, you're going to have dips in happiness, but you should never have dips in love. And now, remember what we said at the beginning of the episode. Love and happiness are two different terms that are often synonymous in many ways. They coincide with each other. But at the same time, they're not always synonymous. You can have deep love for somebody and then get in an argument and be very unhappy at the situation. And then an hour later, you make up and you bring them a brownie or you bring them their favorite food. And I think that if you go, a lot of people, right? I want to make this point. A lot of people in life go around chasing happiness, but chasing happiness is not the same thing as fulfillment. Fulfillment is much different. It's rooted, it's grounded, it's all encompassing. Happiness is too, but it's like spurts. If you're a car guy, happiness is like nitrous. You ever play those video games where you hit like the nitrous button and then you go like really fast and everything's so amazing, the colors blur by you, and then it kind of dwindles off. And if you chase happiness, you're always chasing highs. And sometimes these highs will make you avoid the lows that you need to go through to actually be content and fulfilled as a human being. And when it comes to being in love with somebody, you're going to experience those lows no matter what. You will. Maybe it'll be an argument about the groceries or the dishes, or you bought the wrong milk. You bought 2% instead of this and that. Whatever the case is, there's going to be arguments. And it comes with, or not even arguments, just abrasiveness in general. But you have to understand that who you are as a person and who they are as a person needs to be understood with one another. It's not a I'm right, you're wrong thing, or you're right, I'm wrong. It's none of that. What it is this is how I process information. How do you process? Let's communicate that and try to be the best version of ourselves together. Maybe I have shortcomings here. I need you to fill in. I need to fill them in myself, but I need to make sure that when I have those shortcomings, you also fill it in and realize I have those shortcomings, and vice versa. And I mention this because happiness oftentimes dwindles and we often go chasing for it. And because we have those downs in life, and we have those downs in the relationship where you get the wandering eye. You might start getting attracted to other people. Your sex life might be boring. You might work a career, she works a career, but you can't afford to retire her yet or tell her, hey, just be a housewife if she wants that. Maybe you're not there yet, and so you're always working 12 hours a day. You don't have sex, this and that. There's always something that could be better. But it's important to realize that once those things are determined, once you realize like, man, these are the shortcomings in the relationship, you realize that the happiness has dwindled, but your love for someone else has not. To love someone else, on top of the affection and deep attraction, of course, it is an active commitment. This is the definition of the word. It's an active commitment to another's well-being. And so that means, hey, I got my car sideswiped today, which really sucks. It's a very expensive car. It got sideswiped. I can't bring that home. I still have to look out for you. Maybe you got your car sideswiped, and I'm about to have a big deal at work, right? A big sales deal. I'm going to take the deal off and lose it so I can be there and talk to you because you're scared or this or that. It's an active commitment. It's a self-sacrifice. And sacrifices, guess what? Never bring happiness in the moment. In the long term, they do. Ask anybody who's built a company. Ask anybody who's built a business. Ask anybody who's done anything worthwhile. You sacrifice literally all day, every day, just to have spurts of happiness, but you're so fulfilled when the full painting is done. And all that to say that my dog just knocked over my energy drink. I got a new puppy recently. Teddy, get down. Get down. Get down. No. He can't have caffeine. But all that to say, the sacrifices that you make when you're experiencing love, when you're in love with another human being, ultimately are so worth it. You have somebody in your corner, right? Ideally, that should care about your well-being in every way. It is 100%. Of course, you give all of you, they give all of them, but some days you have those dips. Some days you can't be there for somebody in a certain way. Some days you have abrasiveness. Some days you have arguments. You have disagreements. You have weird, awkward tension moments, and that's perfectly okay. But when happiness falters, your love should never. Love is like the entire framework of a house. And happiness is like the paint on the outside of it. It looks amazing. It looks great. It feels good when you see it. Oh, look how beautiful our house is. But if the framework, if the love is rotten inside of there, it doesn't matter how nice it's painted. And vice versa. If the love is absolutely thriving, but the paint on the outside looks rough and deteriorated, and you go inside the house and it's beautiful and the framework's amazing, then that's ideal. It doesn't matter if the paint's peeling off, if love or if happiness dwindles down or falters or goes away. So ultimately what I would say is if you truly love somebody and your happiness falters from time to time, it's perfectly okay. It's perfectly all right. That doesn't mean you have a bad relationship. That just means that you're human, that you're both human and both experience what it's like to be human and to feel a feeling that is all encompassing, which is love. And now I do want to make this extremely, and now with all of that being said, with the whole front half of this episode being said, I like to always play both sides in a way, because nothing's ever just one choice, black or white. It's never that way. And I like to paint both sides because I think that many people have been in relationships or had relationships, friends, family, lovers, have had the relationships where they probably can attest to everything I just said, and they kind of agree. They're like, yeah, that's actually right. I've had a lot of unhappy moments in my dating world, and I still love her to death. A lot of people have had that. But now I want to dive into something a bit different. I want to dive into the other half of this, which is, what if I am eternally unhappy with the person I'm dating? Because I have also been in this situation where I had loved somebody so much, but they made me so unhappy. And when we loved each other, things were happy, but there was often times where, you feel not heard or not acknowledged, or things dip down and you don't feel happy. And now what do you do in this moment, right? On the other half of it, ideal situation, you are in absolutely great love and the happiness is amazing. That's ideal situation. Most people live in a relationship that is full of love. The happiness is definitely there, but it just falters time to time. That's normal. That's human. And I don't want to harp on the negative side and make it seem like you're not in that, because most people sit about there. I would say if I had to guesstimate, I'd say a solid 60, 70-ish% live there. I'd say a solid 20% live in the phase of absolutely just eternal happiness all the time. But I would say that there's 10% that sit in the I'm just not happy with this person, whether it's externally said or internally in their head, whether it's the man's perspective or the woman's. I'd say 10% sits there maybe. And I've heard a lot of situations. I've heard situations of some of my guy friends be like, man, I never feel good enough. My girl doesn't push me to do greatness. She just expects it. But she doesn't do greatness either. She just expects it out of me. I've heard that. I've heard women. I've heard a lot of things, right? Interviewed a lot of people and met a lot of people. I always listen to dating things. Anytime I talk to people, I listen to dating cues so I can go out and ask these questions. But some people live in the realm of I am eternally unhappy. How do I get out of this? I'm unhappy with the person I'm with. And that's a bad place to be. And if you're in that place, I'm sorry to hear that. It's a bad place to be. I've been there before. There's a good quote from a Greek philosopher, Epicurus, and it states that happiness is the main goal of life. And he writes, we must exercise ourselves in the things which bring happiness, since if that be present, we have everything. He's basically saying, if we have happiness, we have it all. And if that's absent, all of our actions are directed towards attaining it. And he's basically saying subconsciously and consciously, when you're not happy, all your actions are kind of trying to lead to it. And Aristotle kind of also says the same thing. But on another point, there's a very good slogan to live by, which is if an action doesn't bring you happiness and it won't lead you to happiness, don't do that action. That action's not worth it. If right now the thing you're doing does not make you happy and it won't make you happy, so let's say you're sacrificing now and you're unhappy now because you're sacrificing, but you know what? Hey, I'll get the payout later down the line, right? That's okay. But if neither of those two things are true, don't do the action. And basically why I say this is because there are people in relationships that truly feel unhappy with the relationship. They do not feel happy. They don't feel content. They don't feel fulfilled. They don't feel happiness. They don't feel love in it. Or maybe they do feel an extreme amount of love, but they're just simply not happy in that relationship. And what I would say is that is the most horrible thing that I can think of, because you love somebody so much, but dang, they just don't make you happy at all. They torment your life. You're always arguing. You don't get along. There's just a million and one things that you don't enjoy about the relationship. And what I would say is you need to truly self-reflect on that if that's the case. You need to really ask yourself, man, this person's not bringing me happiness. I can't focus on the things that matter in my life. I can't focus on my business. I can't focus on the podcast. I can't focus on whatever it is I love because I just feel like this person's always drama. They're always negative. They're always this. They're always that. And I don't think that that's a good place to be. I think that if you're spending all of your bandwidth, oh my God, my puppy just won't stop jumping on my desk, bro. But I feel like if you're using all of your bandwidth just to survive, you'll never thrive. And a relationship should never be survival mode. But for a lot of people, it is. For a lot of people, not a majority, but just a lot of people, it's surviving because, man, they just feel like they can't do anything and the relationship it's just not good. It doesn't make them happy, but they love the person. Maybe she's toxic. I've heard this before, women manipulating by cutting themselves or saying that they'll hurt themselves if they leave, and guys do the same thing too. But I'm just saying I've heard that experience from women too. And that's horrible. You feel trapped, and it takes so much courage to get out of those situations. It takes so much courage to leave. It takes so much mental fortitude to get out of an abusive situation. And what I would say, if the relationship just simply does not make you happy, you need to really assess the opportunity cost. What you're willing to give up over what you're willing to receive. You have to really ask yourself, is your own happiness worth staying with somebody and being miserable? Because I'm telling you right now, if someone makes you miserable, it doesn't mean that they're a horrible person. They're just horrible for you. And if you make someone else miserable, you're not a horrible person. You're just horrible for them. I've seen plenty of people that are devils to one person and an angel to another. And that's perfectly okay, because some people are not meant to be together. They're meant to be a stepping stone and a lesson that you put in your pocket and take with you through the rest of life. And that's okay. But if you're miserable with somebody, it's so hard to focus on even the small things, especially if you're trying to expand. That's why so much expansion comes from being single. But then the real expansion, the real growth comes from finding the right person. Ask any millionaire, and I guarantee you, they set all the framework when they were single, locked in, dialed after a breakup. Ask any bodybuilder, hey, how did you get that body? Guarantee you it's after a breakup. It's after they felt alone. But I guarantee you they thrive at their ultimate peak potential when they have the right friends, the right woman, the right whoever around them. And just take that to consideration, because if you're focusing all the time on surviving, again, it's very hard to thrive. And so ultimately at the end of the day, right, this entire podcast episode, should you leave love if the love doesn't make you happy? Happiness has left your relationship. If you feel in love with somebody and you have a long-term relationship and you're years down the road, absolutely not. If they're perfect for you, but you're like, I'm not happy anymore. He doesn't try. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. I don't feel the spice. Have you ever communicated it? What did he say? Did you say it in a non-abrasive way? Did you sit down once a week and really reflect on your relationship? Not to find the problems. Find the good things too. Take once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month. How are you outside of me? How are you with me? Let's communicate. You don't need to always go and find problems, but if there are problems, communicate them in a non-abrasive way. Hold each other's hands, look eye to eye, and communicate what you need to say and what you feel properly. And I guarantee you'll have a healthy relationship, or at least healthier. And so overall, you should not leave love if it makes you unhappy momentarily, because that self-sacrifice is how you build the framework of a long, healthy relationship. But if a relationship or a person makes you deeply unhappy and you feel stuck, you feel the mental fog of, I don't know what to do, every day just feels like a chore, I would communicate that as well, even if it hurts their feelings. I'm not going to say go to therapy, but I would say that communicate that to the person and see what they say. How do they respond? And if they go back into manipulative behavior or whatever's making you unhappy in the first place, I think that it would be a really good idea to probably leave and preserve your happiness. Preserve it. Because at the end of the day, that happiness, your own happiness, is worth more than anything else. And if you truly love somebody, you'll risk your happiness. You'll sacrifice it, here and there. Like when you have a kid or a dog that makes you really unhappy while he eats your plants, like mine is right now. But I love him, so it's worth it. But if you don't feel that either, you got to preserve your own happiness. And yeah, I don't know. That's just my take. I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you guys want to see the videos where I actually respond to these questions, Teddy, let go of my cables, bro. Just chewing my cables. If you guys actually want to hear, feel free to hit us up on Is Your Stream Podcast on all platforms. We're on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff. You'll see the shorts, the reels, all that. And yeah, I'd be interested. Hopefully this episode is able to give you one little gem and just something to reflect on. And maybe you can put it in your pocket and take it with you, for your next relationship or even the one that you're in right now. But as always, thank you guys so much for listening. Feel free to hit that follow button. Leave us 5 stars. It'd mean the world. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.